You often see people use the gesture, raise the roof. How high can you actually raise the roof? Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli Zab with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, we inspire. And the heights you can grow to are infinite when you have a solid foundation. So what is that foundation? Always remember that principles are constant and unchanging. It is technology that changes. Natural laws and rules are an outgrowth of principles. Free choice does not exempt us from the effect of natural laws. Laws, cultures, and the political climate vary from city to city. Remember, the one constant in all cultures is universal law or principles. A fire will burn with the same force in both Moscow, Washington, D.C., or on the island of Malta. It's governed by the universal laws of nature. There is a cause and effect relationship when these laws are applied everywhere on the planet. Cause is the principle, and effect is the vibratory pattern of process that emerges from it. In truth, in a nutshell, this is what personal development's all about. It's about teaching consistent, unchanging principles and how to use them to advance forward. Laws and practices that always work, like gravity, like electricity, like solar power. Technological advances have enabled us to enhance and harness these powers. I'll give you an example. The power of the sun can heat up a glass of water significantly over time. Modern day solar panels, however, are able to do so with significantly more efficiency. The principle is the same, unchanging. The technology is an enhancement. You see, Eli and everybody else, this is the objective of mentoring, of personal development. We all take advantage of the law of gravity when we use the slope of the landscape as an example to roll something downhill. Mastering these principles determines individual and team growth. These principles should be common sense, but always remember that common sense is not often common practice. I could give you a map of Detroit and say, hey, use this to help you get around Chicago. It's not going to help you much, is it? Here's the key point. Maps are only effective when they are aligned with true north. Values are only effective when they are aligned with principles. Principles are not values. They are laws that work consistently and without prejudice. As an example, we may all agree that Hitler's Germany was an evil empire. I mean, did he not, in his book, Mein Kampf, outline his vision for Germany many years before he even came into power, and then proceed to execute that plan step by step by step? He had a vision, he had a game plan, he executed it. These are some of the key things that you have to do in order to reach success on your level, don't you? The point is, the principles don't distinguish good or evil, right or wrong. They just explain how nature works its magic, and we, who are blessed with freedom of choice, must decide how to master and harness their cause and effect. You know, there's an old story about a community of eagles that lived on a beautiful mountain range. They were carefree and happy, finding an abundance of natural foods in the surrounding woods and streams, and their days were spent in lofting, soaring, and peaceful pleasure. I love this story. But down on the dry prairie there dwelled a band of clever crows. merchants by occupation, the crows had invested their money in growing a low grade of corn. Now, in their search for potential customers, they noticed the eagles flying high in the distance. "Why don't we sell them corn?" they said to each other. And they made a committee to discuss how they could persuade the birds to buy it. "You must develop a nice glittering package to put the corn in," said one crow. "It's important to get the eagles dependent on us," said another. "And most important of all," said a third, who had considerable success in selling corn, "we must convince the eagles that our corn is not merely a need, but that it is an absolute must. We must persuade them that without it, they'll be lonely, loveless, and lost." And a good place to start is to load them with a false sense of guilt. Just make them feel guilty about ignoring our corn, and then we've got them. So now the eagles were quite intelligent, but somewhat careless in their thinking. Although they were cautious and suspicious at first, the corn looked pretty good. And it saved them the effort of actually going out and hunting for it themselves. So the eagles soared less and less and dropped down to the cornfields more and more. Of course, the less they flew, the less they felt like flying. As their wings grew weak, they had to hop awkwardly over the ground. This led to frequent collisions with each other, followed by quarrels and arguments. But there was one eagle whose eyesight also gave him insight. He sensed something wrong about the whole operation. Besides, the corn just didn't taste quite right. When he tried to persuade his friends to return to the mountains, the crows ridiculed him as a troublemaker. And for causing trouble with the crows, the eagles shunned their former friend. So the more corn the crows peddled, the more corn the eagles swallowed. But something had now happened to the once king of birds. They complained a lot. They were nervous and irritable. They felt lonely, loveless, and lost. Every once in a while, they would remember their mountain home, but could not remember the way back. So they sullenly existed, hoping that something better would turn up, which it never did. Meanwhile, the keen-eyed eagle had grown tired of it all and studied himself carefully. Rediscovering his wings, he tried them out. They worked. So off he flew to the mountains, and from dawn to sunset, he soared over his world, carefree and happy. Why did I tell that story? Think about cell phones. Think about walking around like this all the time. Think about the fact that some foreign power interfered with us receiving the gasoline that we need for our automobiles. You follow what I'm saying? When you have new technology, the principles remain the same. But you have to keep a keen eye out that you're getting high-level corn for yourself, and you're not dismissing something that takes away from the principles, like the communication between human beings. There's something about the nuances of somebody's expression, about their tone of voice, about their body language, that affects communication in a great way. I don't want to be a get off your lawn guy, but my point is, hey, use the tools, but use them wisely. Now, the next time that we get together, we're going to go over 7 key universal laws. And until that time, always remember to not ration the passion, but to fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.